Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Death by, where contestants will earn reps for their arguments for a chance to stand on top of the podium pedestal. I am your host, Lauren Kalil. Whoever I decide has the best argument through the final round will have 30 seconds to talk about a topic of their choosing. On today's episode, we have the Chief Executive Officer at HWPO, Matt O'Keefe, affiliate owner and CrossFit analyst Chase Ingram with Get With The Programming, and CrossFit Games athlete Tim Paulson. Let's play Death by. Well, the Rogue Invitational, they just announced a new way to view competition through the Iron Game Premier option. For $25, fans can pay to get exclusive access to real-time reaction, guest commentary from some of the biggest names in CrossFit and Strongman, plus the ability to select different camera angles and viewing experiences in single and split screen mode. There will still be a free live stream, but what are your thoughts on this? Do you think fans will pay? Is this the next step that we need for competition coverage? Is this where we are headed with CrossFit itself? Tim, I'm going to let you start with this one.
All right, let's go. Hats off to Rogue for kind of leading the way yet again, like they seem to always do. This is an idea that people kind of tossed around during the CrossFit Games this year with the Masters and things like that. And I think honestly, CrossFit should be paying incredibly close attention to this because it's going to be a great dry run for a potential avenue for them. I think for most people, they watch Rogue to watch the biggest names. With a very small field, there's probably not going to be as many people that are maybe buying it specifically to watch, another athlete. Like that market will probably be relatively small for this, if I had to guess. But if they provide some value, you've got big name commentators sliding in, things like that, and there's things outside of just having other camera angles that you want to watch. Like I said, it could be a great dry run, and I don't know necessarily how many people will do it for Rogue, but I think again they're kind of pioneering, like leading the way in something that should be offered by the games and probably other venues as well.
3 points for Tim. O'Keefe, what is your thought on this one?
I love it. I mean, I consume a lot of different sports. Golf is broadcast like this. People can roll their eyes when talking about golf again, but this is so well done. I can't wait to see how it's executed. I mean, think of all the content that is being put out around major sports now. The Mannings sitting on a couch, commentating on Monday Night Football is watched more than Monday Night Football. Golf is, behind the scenes and hole by hole and group by group and, giving unique, perspective on every golfer and their round. I love it. I mean, honestly, I'm really excited to see how this plays out. This is the right way to, and by the way, I've been involved in fails with paywalls. I love this. I think that this is something we saw way back at the ECC, funny enough.
Yep.
There were lane cams, and I thought that was such a great step. And, obviously cost is always associated with, how we can and will go about these things. And I love this step that Rogue's taken. I think they're going to see a ton of success. I'm subscribing. That's all I can say. I can't wait. Even though I'm going to be there, I'm going to have the subscription to this and on my laptop where we're sitting. It's such a great move.
So, Matt, kind of to that, since you have a peek behind the curtain of some of the things that go into having a paywall behind coverage, is this cost effective when you think of what it takes to put something like this on versus what actually is the taste from the community for something like this? How many people are going to be purchasing it?
I think you're seeing Rogue further invest in the community at their risk. I mean, will people subscribe? I hope so, because it I think speaks properly to our market, our passionate fan base. It's the right investment. They're always on the front of that, spending not to look at what's in it for them, but to provide a better experience. So I don't know if that answers the question, Lauren, but truly, this is a great move, a great investment, and I thank them for it, to be honest with you, because I don't. It's nothing that they have to do. I think they can they're going to take views away from, a platform that would be, the primary focus for, that live broadcast. And, who knows if people sign up or not. I urge people to. It looks like it's done really well, and it's different. It's a different approach. It's the right approach for a paywall. I've made that mistake before. With Wadapalooza, we had a paywall because it was seemingly, a place we were trying not to be risky. And then finally did do that and saw the fruits of that. And, people like the Hennegers were instrumental in us making that move. We were following their lead. So this is, again, them leading from the front.
4 points for O'Keefe. Chase, what are your thoughts?
I like the question you started is like, who would pay for this? I think the better question is who wouldn't. You look at what Rogue is doing is they took every complaint you've seen for the last decade of the broadcast and gave a solution to it. So if you are a fan of CrossFit, you are purchasing this. And if you are not, then you're not a fan. Like, you're just a fake person on the internet complaining about what you can't get. You're going to get everything. And it's $25 for 4 days. We're not taking away views. The Rogue Invitational, you look at last year, there are hundreds of thousands of views on every event across the weekend. If they get 5,000 to 10,000 taken away from that and get into that broadcast, like, you're looking at $100,000 to $250,000 maybe getting that. Is it going to support something like that? Who knows? But Rogue has never been in the business of putting on the Invitational to make money. They're in a lucky position to do that. Let's be honest. They're in a lucky position to be able to handle this, whether financial burden they take on to provide a great service. It's what they do. That's why they're amazing. That's why this event is incredible. But if you are a fan of the sport, you are going to get some amazing behind the scenes. You're going to get a podcast like with 20 guests from all over the space when it comes to the community. You're going to get a wide camera, a drone cam. 2 individual athletes every event are going to get their own basically cam following. There is so much in this. So if you're a fan, it's worth $25 to watch 4 days of the most outside the box coverage you can possibly get. So if you're not signing up for this, I really don't understand. Like, don't comment anymore, right? If you're not going to pay, you got paid $25 a bitch from now on. That's what I'm saying.
Honestly, I actually didn't realize it was only $25. That's impressive. Like, I mean, yeah, I agree. That's like a couple of coffees. I mean, that's pennies for some pretty high value. That's actually, yeah, kudos.
Well, and I guess my biggest question is, yes, I agree with you. I absolutely think that this fixes the solution of what people are paying for. But now I'm curious to see if those people who have been complaining are getting what they actually want and if they will actually fork over the $25.
They'll still find something to complain. Oh, the drone footage is a little grainy. It's like, it's a freaking thing flying up 200 yards in the air and you can see everything. Well, I can't see the person's face that I really want to see, even though, like, this, people will find a way. But if you paid the $25, welcome in, bitch on the stream. Maybe they'll pull up your comment during the podcast version of this. I absolutely love it. Rogue, once again, taking something that has been done at the ECCs with lane changes that we did at semifinals with the podcast coverage and improving on that. And hopefully, like you guys said, I would love for CrossFit to watch what this is, see the financial viability. Maybe it's not everything next season, but maybe there is something that they learn here that they can cross-collab to make everything better going into next year. I'm very excited to see what it is.
5 points for Chase. When it comes to, and you can all kind of speak to this, when it comes to coaching athletes, how beneficial would this be for a coach to take as feedback?
So,
I mean, 10 out of 10.
If anybody's played football, once the game is over, there's a wide angle for the whole field that just shows everything, and they take that footage and use it for basically film for the entire next week of breaking down, taking film for the other team's game the week before, and then getting set up there. This is an opportunity for coaches to maybe this could be a price point that's later down the road, but you get a full-scale view. You can watch what your athlete do. You can figure out what other athletes are doing, and even though you're in your own lane, it's kind of cool to go into an event. It's like, hey, listen, it's an event with a lot of muscle-ups and some handstand push-ups. The 3 people you're chasing right there always struggle here, but they go out quick. Don't go out early. We've been watching film on them. Right? There's so many things that can go into the coaching staff that I think could benefit from basically full game footage that isn't cut away for production value of an actual broadcast.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I couldn't.
Yep. Go ahead, Tim.
No, I'll say from like a coaching standpoint or just like an athletic reflection standpoint. Like I've always been a very big like nerdy like numbers guy when it comes to fitness. Like I like looking at like, how long were breaks, what was the rep scheme that so and so did, like because when you look back on a workout, like, you go into it, you make your best effort game plan, you listen to your body, you try to execute as best you can, but like someone is probably almost always going to execute better, and just looking at maybe how they did that from like a competitive advantage standpoint like could be huge. So if you're able to go back and look at that stuff and be like, oh, so and so, broke this movement this way, which we didn't even think about, like there's things like that that could definitely be like, just from an analytical standpoint as a coach, like looking at how events were best executed, like who did a great job and who maybe like, like, yeah, the guy that comes out flying out of the gun usually gets the camera for about 5 or 6 minutes, but what was the smart guy over in lane 7 doing? The guy that won the event. So like there could definitely be like some value there for coaches as well, for sure, and athletes.
Okay, one more follow-up question, and then we will move on to the next topic. Why not just combined the two broadcasts and offered this as part of the main one?
You mean like for not paid?
I mean, I guess that could be part of the question. Whether then just everybody has to pay.
Like huge...
I think I mean, it's a huge cost, and it's a premium service, and I think they're doing exactly what they should with that. Personally, I think it's offering an increased experience for a premium for the consumers, so people can decide whether they invest or not. But again, they put that investment up without the guarantee that anybody's going to buy it. I mean, I think they're the way they've talked about it, and Chase just explained it, and they've done a good job of it. Well, I'm sure a lot of people will, but yeah, I wouldn't. I mean, I couldn't agree with them more on their approach. I think that's precisely how it should go. And
So
again, that's analogous to other platforms, by the way. Premium services are paid services, like more access, back end access. That's the way it should be.
So do you think that it would have been too early to just expect everybody to pay for this type of coverage and not offer a free service?
I do. I think that we've made that mistake plenty of times. I have. So, we've learned our, we've learned our lesson.
Okay, if you don't have to, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah, thank you very much. I feel like I'm in a scene from Good Will Hunting. Yeah, that doesn't work. I mean, I think we as event organizers, when we're on that side, have to be willing to invest in the ability for people to view the product and have some sort of experience. That's what partners invest in. That's what you want those eyeballs. That's how you grow the reach and get access for your partners. But yeah, I think that paywall is tough for just access to view, and I know that's the way the games was set up this year for the most part. I think that we do need to have some level of a free broadcast for people to watch. That's how we get more people to watch.
Okay, moving on to topic number 2. Annie Thorisdottir, she took to Instagram to announce that her and Frederick will be expecting another baby in May. Congrats to the both of them. With that being said, Annie Thorisdottir will no longer be competing at the Rogue Invitational, and to replace her on the roster is 19th fittest woman on earth, Shelby Neal. How will this shake up the leaderboard, and will it shake up the leaderboard? Tim, we're going to let you start with this one.
Again.
Right. 2 for 2.
Again.
I mean, I think you would probably be hard pressed to find somebody who wouldn't put Annie at least in a top 5 pick at Rogue. So I think it definitely affects the women's leaderboard at the top. I think would definitely have been a contender for a podium spot at Rogue. So I think that definitely opens up, possibly a big opportunity for somebody a little further down the leaderboard as the weekend goes along. And I think, honestly, I don't have much more to say about it other than that. I think Shelby Neal, we'll see how much effect she can have on the leaderboard. I think that's a bit bigger of a question mark. But, I think Annie not being there definitely, I guess, reduces the competitiveness at the top, those top 3, 4, possibly 5 athletes that are vying for those podium spots. And again, it just opens up a spot for somebody else.
2 points for Tim. Chase, what are your thoughts?
First, foremost, congratulations to Annie and Frederick. That's freaking awesome. So pumped for those guys. I mean, it's fun to watch their journey so far. So congrats there. With Shelby coming in, if you think about shaking up the leaderboard, I'm on Tim's side, as I think the absence of Annie is going to shake up the leaderboard more than the presence of Shelby. No disrespect to Shelby. But we got to see a glimpse of her in semifinals. What I really liked was the person I saw that was interviewing on the Savan podcast last year, or I guess this year, leading into the CrossFit Games. And you got a little, it was a cool peek behind the curtain of who Shelby is. I think she's a fun person. I think she's a great competitor. At this point in time, her entering the fold with this is that the way it's programmed at the Rogue Invitational, I don't think benefits her skill set. If you look at some of her worst places last year, 30th in the ride, 35th in alpaca, 39th in the ski bag, is that those are events that are grindy, heavy, high volume tests that usually show up at the Rogue Invitational. Her best event was 4th, and that was inverted. Rogue Invitational notoriously does not have handstand walks in it. So that's a little negated unless they kind of break their, I would say, not bias, but routine a little bit going into the programming. But she does hover in that 12 to 19 place finish when there's a full field. So I think she could hit some in, I would say, in fair play, since it is going to be at a baseball field. But I think it'll be nice to have her there. She should have a lot of fun, and it's a great experience for Shelby.
5 points for Chase. O'Keefe, what do you think the impact is of this shift?
Wow. Chase is on his game today. That was good. I really enjoyed that. I couldn't agree more. To just agree with the other two here, I think that Annie's absence is a greater impact on the leaderboard than Shelby being a part of the competition. And that's no disrespect to you, Shelby, if you're listening to this. I just think that Annie can win the Rogue Invitational. She's proven that in the past. I was really excited to see that battle with the moms, possibly for podium spots. But yeah, it's a bummer she's not going to be there, but I couldn't be happier for the two of them. They're great people. Another legend is born in Iceland. It's really cool, and I'm really excited to see what this means for Annie's CrossFit journey moving forward. Wouldn't that be another story for her to come back yet again and compete at the CrossFit Games after having a second child? So, I think the impact is great on the leaderboard, if we're being real.
3 points for O'Keefe. Yeah, we've seen her do it once. I'd be excited to see her do it again. On to topic number 3. We have Chase, 10 points. Right behind him, Matt with 7, and then Tim with 5. So the workouts, they're released, at least some of them, and kind of in part, some details, not all of them. Nonetheless, from what we know right now, which event will have the best battle, and who do you think the battle will be between? Chase, I'm going to let you start with this one.
All right. I think it's going to be the same for men and women. I think it's programming related and setup related. And I'm going to say event 7, Hulk hands, 30 cal bike, 20 fat bell ground overhead. Front rack lunge, run, push the sled up the hill, come back, lunge. It's a nice little chipper. And what that's going to be, it's going to be a nice watch. So when you can see what's happening in an event, it automatically makes it exciting versus number of rounds. We see things with machines, but we don't know where they are. We see high volume rounds, which it might negate people's abilities. And what I want to look away from is events that have certain programmed elements where it's pass or fail. You can do or you can't do. That's not exciting. What is exciting is that everyone can. And I think that's what you're going to have with Hulk hands. When I look at the men, I see 5 guys right off the bat. Fikowski, Vellner, Roman, Adler, and Ricky should all do well. But 3 guys I'm going to put in there as wild cards to do well. I have Yella Hosta, Chandler Smith, and BKG, who actually does very well in Rogue Invitational chippers. On the women's side, it's the same thing. No clear favorites because there's no clear movement that's going to separate everybody. So it's going to be a plan of attack on how they strategize. Think about this. Laura, Tia, Emma Carey, Alex Gazan, and Emma Lawson are my 5 athletes that are going to be in the top 5, I think, battling each other the entire time. But wild card here, Karn Freyova. I feel like she could make a bigger name for herself. Ariel Lowen, who did well in big chippers at the CrossFit Games. And then surprise one, I'm going to put Christine Kohlenbrander out there. That in the pig chipper, actually, she had a great finish. I think it's like a top 5 at the CrossFit Games. So event 7 by view, by programming and allowing everyone to have a shot there. I think that will be the most exciting.
That was a packed answer.
I would like to remove points from Chase for naming half of the men's and women's field as people to watch. Basically,
I
the
mean,
entirety of the men's
that was
division.
that was really good. That's really good. You just named the entire field on both sides. Great.
I gave top 5 in wild cards.
With that being said, I would have, you know what? Thank you, Tim, because I would have liked your answer better if you really just stuck to 2 athletes. The juice was really good in the answer, but
Enough information. I get it. Yeah.
yeah, you know, I'm gonna
What am
give
I
you
doing on
3
a show to
points.
give insight for what an event's going to take place with programming?
I know.
But the wrong guy for that question.
You passed. 3 points for Chase. No, I'm gonna give him 4. Sean, give him 4.
You do me too. I'll still win.
Matt O'Keefe.
He's just
You're up
rolling in it
next.
right now.
I mean, I'm going to be a homer and just pick something that I can talk about all HWPO athletes here. So I'm excited for a lot of these workouts. You know, honestly, the 10th inning really sticks out to me. I really love that workout. I mean, it's a lot of transitions for sure, but you know, I think that's going to be a mad race. I mean, you could name a lot. I could do what Chase did and name the entire field on a workout like that for sure. You know, obviously people like Pat Vellner or Jeff Adler stick out in everything related to that room. But I think you're going to see, a dark horse. And honestly, it's very convenient for me to talk about HWPO athletes, but I do think Jason and Victor, are going to do really well with that workout. I think they're going to contend. So that's why I'm really excited to watch that. A lot of people will look at that and be like, tall guy Jason, too long of a range of emotion. He's good at that stuff, and he's in really good shape. So I'm excited for that. And on the female side, it's the same cast of characters too. You can talk about Tia. I think when I look at that, I think Emma Lawson, honestly, like I think that's a really good workout for her, and I'm interested to see how she does in that. I think so I'm gonna look at dark horses in that, Victor and Emma, but I'm really excited for that workout. I love classic CrossFit. That's classic CrossFit. It's in your face. It's a triplet. I'm excited for that.
2 points for Matt. He got out of his comfort zone a little bit, but mostly stayed in the edges.
I said a name that wasn't an HWPO athlete. That's out of the comfort.
Hey, that's getting out of the comfort.
Exactly. He dipped a toe on the other side of the line. Okay, Tim, what's calling to you in this lineup of workouts?
Well, actually, the 2 they mentioned, I am really excited for. I think, especially if they progress the power snatch down the floor in 10th inning, like that could be a really cool race to watch. You're kind of, as the rounds go along, you can see the race develop. But we can nerd out more about those. My pick is actually seat at the bar. So it's the second event, the log muscle ups, and then the heavy back squats in between each set. And I think it's a lot of volume for the men. But I think the race is going to be really cool among your top couple guys. So like Adler and Vellner, both going to smash that workout, really good pulling capacity, strong squatters. Chandler Smith, also going to be super fun to watch. I think he came in second maybe in the back squat workout last year behind Adler. So I think that'll just be a really cool one to watch because there's obviously a strategic element in how you break up the muscle ups on the odd object, the log. And then you've got those 5 heavy back squats under kind of high heart rate, a lot of just general fatigue as you go along to see who can really just kind of go and attack a 375-pound barbell for 5 back squats, chilling in the middle of a workout. So that would be really cool to watch, at least on the men's side. On the women's side, again, also going to be an exciting race. You would expect Horvath to do pretty well at that. She's great muscle up capacity. Tia, another good chance to make a, kind of statement early on in the weekend, especially, heavy lifting, 6 months postpartum, right in the middle of a workout. Like I said, could just be a really cool race to watch. So that's the one I'm probably most excited for.
3 points for Tim. We are going to do podium picks with all 3 of these guests, but they will not receive points, meaning, Chase, you still won 14 points. Someone's got to take him on. Gosh dang it.
I won the last week.
You
did. We didn't have points.
You did.
That is true. We should have given you points that time. Okay, Chase, we'll let you have your podium pedestal now before we move into the podiums.
Are we going 1, 2, 3? I feel like it's kind of hard to do, missing 3 events that could actually be major factors in who. How about I'll give you my top 3.
Okay, we can do that.
Top 3 men. I'm going Roman Ricky Adler. I feel like we're going to get a good Roman Ricky Adler. Dark horses that aren't going to be in the 5th and 6th podium. I'm talking like long shots, just as a bonus. I'm going to throw out Yella Holsta and Victor Hoffer. It could be one of those, like I could see the Fikowski effect with Yella Holsta. Similar build, similar athletes, has a taste of the games and just explodes. And Victor Hoffer, like that dude's got some wild skills. So who knows there? On the women, I'll say this is boring. Laura Tia, Alex Kazan, top 3.
Oh,
yeah. Grunt work.
Tim, did you just say no?
So much pulling. There is so much gymnastics pulling in this, and that is what she excels at. And there's not a lot of high skill. Again, we don't know what's coming up. High skill bar work. It's all heavy hinging and squatting. She's a brute. She's not finesse. I think she could. I mean, she just got top 5 at the CrossFit Games, missed a 4th by 6 points. I'm gonna throw it out there. I'll throw Karin Frey and Paige Powers as my long shots. That's my long shots.
O'Keefe, you're muted, but I see your lips moving.
That's probably why you sound better.
I said we're here for you if you want to, name the rest of the field. Go ahead.
I gave interesting long shots. Long shots.
O'Keefe, what are your podiums?
I'll start with the female. I think that's you have Laura, Tia, and I think Ariel Owens for me would be in that mix. There's a lot of people that can be on that podium. I think when you start to talk about third, who finished 4th, 5th, and 6th, I think there's gonna be a close race on that side. And I think again, nobody knows where Tia is at in her journey back from birth, but I mean, how can you look at her even having a couple months to train and not being on a podium, if not winning? She's the greatest on that side to ever do it. On the male side, it's Victor Hoffer, Jason Hopper, and I'm just being a homer, but no, I do really think that, I've seen, it's interesting. Like we talk about Jason, and I think Jason's results at the games were not indicative of his fitness. And I think that there's, he doesn't make excuses. So, which is a wonderful character trait that he has. And I think that, he's ready, he's healthy and ready to go. And I think, there's a moment we're going to see him shine, and this is a great place for him to do that. I think he loves it. And, he's really good at this stuff. So, I do think that, you could see him on that podium. And I do think, I agree with the Victor being a dark horse. But, the regular cast of characters there, I mean, this isn't rocket science. Like when you're talking about Pat and Jeffrey Adler, I mean, these guys continue to show up and finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in everything that they compete in. So, that's not really putting myself out at that point. Again, I know that's being a homer, but I do, I think Jason's always, a half inch away from, really achieving some greatness in this sport. And I feel like this weekend could be the time that he unlocks it.
That's okay. We'll let you be a homer, O'Keefe. It shows loyalty.
It's endearing.
It is. Okay, Tim, are you going to shake the boat here?
A little bit, but not much.
Shake it up, shake it
I'm glad we're not getting points for this, actually. So I basically, for the women's side, I couldn't agree with Chase more. Alex Kazan, I've had a pleasure to get to know her a little bit personally. I think programming shakes out incredibly well for her. And with the absence of Annie, I think her, possibility to be on a podium is definitely up there. But I will call same other two, Tia, Laura, but I'll call Tia for the win. Only because I think just seeing one, she wouldn't be competing here if she wasn't ready. Like if she didn't feel like she was showing up with blood in the water, she wouldn't compete. Like she wouldn't want to put that stain on her competitive record, I think. Like she's not going to show up if she doesn't think she can genuinely win. And just kind of like seeing what she did through the opening quarterfinals, like in person, like seeing her legless rope climbs at like 30 weeks pregnant looked better than my do
Crazy.
ever. So, like, again, just born better than most of humanity. So, like, combine that with the killer work ethic. I think that, like, I would be hard pressed to not pick Tia for a win on the female side. And then on the men's side, I'm going to leave Adler out of my top three, only because I think Pat is he's obviously proven, and I think the programming at Rogue is always fantastic for him. Like and you're looking at what we've released so far this weekend. You got a heavy deadlift, you got a bunch of gymnastics, classic CrossFit, a lot of grunt work. It's hard to argue against Pat in the podium conversation, if you ask me. And then I got to put Roman in there because, again, I think a healthy Roman was one of the fittest people in Madison this year for sure. And then my third would be Ricky. I think just like, a blood in the water type guy. Like he's too fired up for his own good at this point. I think he's probably ready to tear some heads off at Rogue. So even if the programming doesn't shake out the best for him in some events, I think still just that real like war dog kind of person. Like those would be my top three. So Ricky, Pat, and then Roman. No dark horses.
That's okay. I think we named more than half the field at this point with all of them. Okay, Chase.
It's all about deception. You just confuse people enough, and you say nothing. I've learned this from my friend Chase.
Yeah, deception and theatricalities, right? That's the old Batman way.
Okay, what nothing thing do you want to talk about today?
Ooh, not a nothing thing. I'm going to go out there and just say thank you to Rogue. I want to thank him for giving an amazing opportunity for athletes in the off season, giving the fans an amazing event to watch in the off season, and what they are going out on the limb on. I think we're all in agreement that we're very excited. We know that whatever Rogue puts out there, it's like Tia showing up to compete, right? We know whatever they put out there, it's going to be first class. At least it'll have first class effort behind it. I'm really excited to see the extended coverage. I'm definitely paying my $25 to watch every bit of it that I can in different modes that they have available. And I'm curious to see maybe what the CrossFit Games can take away from that and maybe build upon or improve with it from Rogue. So Rogue, thank you for everything that you do. I'm excited to see the event, the athletes take something on, and a new viewing experience for everybody.
Good luck to Rogue. I can't wait to see everything that they do. Chase, I'll see you for a couple days. O'Keefe, I'll see you. And Tim will send you selfies.
All right. I'd love to hear it.
Wish you were there with us, man. But enjoy family time at home. To everybody else, thank you for tuning in and watching another episode of Death By. Make sure you now tune into all of our Rogue Invitational coverage. We will be boots on the ground, athlete interviews, recap shows. You know it. We hope to see you there. Come and say hi if you see us. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.